Ah yes, there's always the budding artist out there who always wants something to help them draw. And a few years ago, I decided to get back into drawing. I've always sort of had a kind of affinity, a sort of drawnness to it, no pun intended. But I've always had a little trouble with figures, and I bought myself one of these on the cheap because I thought it would be quite helpful. And in general, these things are absolutely amazing. You can get things like the arms, for example, into pretty much any rough position you need, okay, for any number of different things. Okay, so they have a great deal of versatility. You can move the head quite well, so you know you can have all kinds of emotional responses through the body itself, the body language, the torso moves with quite a good range of motion. Perhaps too much in some regards, because let's face it, no human being can really turn like that. And likewise, the head should not be able to really turn like that, but hey, what do you know? What are you going to do? You've got to have some sort of flexibility, I suppose. But these things do work quite well. Yes, you can get the body into some fairly unnatural positions, but, you know, sometimes the body might end up in some unnatural positions. Sometimes the springs that this thing is clearly loaded up on can sometimes get in the way a bit, but they're versatile enough to let you do pretty much whatever you want. The midsection, again, works quite well. I mean, you could have somebody doing sit-ups and crunches and whatever. Okay, if you were doing exercise routines. And you could obviously easily replicate somebody, thanks to its base unit, just standing in any number of poses quite well. The real problem for the arms is the elbows, because that's the limit of their movement, but you can use that as a rough guideline and find ways around it. But the real problem is the legs, because their range of motion is limited to just coming up like that. You can't turn them to one side, you can't have them turn in that way. The knees work quite well, perhaps too well in some regards, but the ankles do exactly what you would expect ankles to do. So in general, these things do work quite nicely. Okay, you can have somebody doing a kick as if though they're a soccer player or a football player or God knows what other sport you might want to imagine. You know, and that would work quite nicely in that regard. But if you wanted this for some sort of martial arts fighting routine, then when it comes to the kicks, you're quite limited to what you can do, which is unfortunate, but it's just the way they've designed them. There is obviously room for improvement. If they did spend a little bit more time just working on these hip joints, for example, they could make them as flexible as the shoulder joints, and obviously the elbow joints, as I've said before, do have their limitations. And the hands are just as basic as they need to be, because if it was something like a hand that you were wanting to study, then you wouldn't really want to use this. You'd want to have some of the frame of reference. Likewise, for feet, this is good enough for what they're trying to do here. Okay, if you were really going to concentrate on drawing somebody's foot up close, then you'd probably want to again have a different set of variables, a different set of materials to use. One thing I really do like is the attention to detail on the body itself. The back is quite plain and basic in that regard. The groin has this flat area here, which is a bit more realistic, I suppose, in most cases. And the back end, the bum, has a little bit of a butt groove, so to speak. The chest, however, it has a fine amount of definition on the chest itself, and even a bit where the solar plexus would be, of all things, which perhaps is unnecessary, but it's quite nice, a little bit of attention to detail. The face and the head in general, it's obviously just generic enough to give you a good bit of idea where things should be, although should eyes really be that high up, or even eyebrows for that matter? It's very good at what it does, but it does have its weaknesses. There is an alternative though. There is one alternative I could advise you might want to look into, and it does involve bringing out a certain well-known figure from a well-known franchise that's being invigorated. He might even be getting his own set of movies at some point. Introducing Ben Kenobi, Obi-Wan Kenobi, complete with the lightsaber and his Clone Wars armour. Yeah, this is the Lego figurine. This is actually from the first batch. They've got the Force Awakens batch out at the moment as well, and they all look quite nice. This guy has arguably more range of motion in general. The cloak does get in the way. Tell you what, let's not use the lightsaber welding arm, although that is one other problem with this set. The shoulder armour does tend to get knocked off quite easily. Okay, so you don't get to use the full range of motion like that, but at the same time it does seem to have just a bit more range of motion overall in the arm. The legs, however, are the absolute winner because, whoops. Ah! Now I know how Anakin feels! Ah! Don't worry, we can put that back on quite easily. Yeah, you've got to work with the range of motion itself and not go beyond its limits, but it does allow you quite a good range here. Okay, Obi-Wan does have far more range to work with, and the legs work probably just as well, if not slightly better. Same with the foot. The head, of course, has full range of motion. Up, down, side to side, ups, down, side to side. I'm sure there's a song there somewhere. But the only real problem is the body, because there's absolutely no twisting motion to it whatsoever. Not that you'd really need it that much, you could easily compensate or, you know, by moving the body in other ways, but in general, yeah, I'd have to say, look, lightsaber, distraction, ha ha ha. Yeah, I'd have to say, in general, I kind of prefer this for its overall greater versatility here. Obviously, this picks up the slack in one department where this is weaker, and this picks up in every other way that this is weaker. But, you know, you've just got certain limitations in both and certain freedoms with both. You can even, if you're really, really good, get Obi-Wan in pretty much any pose you want. And if you want him to be doing some sort of really high-flying fancy martial art type poses, then you could easily just attach him to some sort of Lego base, okay, or even prop him up with some sort of Lego stand as well. Okay, he's a little too heavy as is to last in that pose for long, at least by himself, but with, you know, the proper attachments, it'd be quite good. Okay, so my advice, if you are finding one or the other of these quite limited in its abilities to help you draw figures, get one of each. You don't even need to get both. You don't even really need to have both, you just need one really, but if you want to work around the different areas of weakness and strength, then just utilise each as you feel you need them. Yeah, that's it for tonight. Bye bye.